Anyhow, y'all want to get into it? Because I feel
Let's
like we
get
got a
into
lot.
something. Yeah, we gotta get into something.
So what y'all want to do first? Y'all want to get into the big topic of the night, or y'all want to start off light?
No, we might as well dive into it. What's the big topic of the night? Y'all probably
Trump,
think the big topic's power.
Trump, Trump.
You guys all.
So
Oh,
where do
well,
we where do we begin? Do we begin at the debate and work our way forward? Like,
well, it's hard to like really have this as like a main topic because everybody agreed on the same thing. So we could start at the debate.
no, 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 we don't. No, we can start the debate. Let's talk about the debate. Kenya, do you want to start?
Well, I all I have to say is it was a total embarrassment on both ends. But I feel like Joe should have went a little bit harder because that was Trump's tactic to do. Like that's what he's known for.
Hmm.
So it was
That's how
just
he
it
won
was
last year. I mean,
yeah.
last
He's
election.
he's a he's a bully, and he knows he knows what he's doing when it comes to that type of shit. Um, Joe tried to keep it together. Him calling him a racist, him calling him a clown, and all of those things that he said, all were facts. So I wasn't offended or any of those things because I've seen people, and Joe was on something last night, a town hall meeting, and
Hmm.
that stuff came up, and he kind of backtracked, but not really. He just said he shouldn't have called him a clown. He said something
He should
else,
have took
but
the
clown
hammer
was in
off.
there. Yeah. So, but
I feel like
anyway,
clown was appropriate.
it absolutely was. It absolutely was appropriate. And now that Trump is positive for COVID, quote, um, I don't know if there's going to be another debate with them, but Mike Pence and Kamala Harris is debating tomorrow, and I'm so looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
So that's my take on the debate. Like
I'm
I
not
think
looking forward
because
to
I
it.
feel like someone said something about Joe skipping the debate or something. I just felt like he could have skipped the debate and still put out content to speak to the people and not
Hmm.
have to go back and forth. Like he could still speak to the people, um, voices playing, and all of those things that they do at the debate, just minus the debate because irregardless, they got things set up for future debates, turning off the mic and stuff like that, we are still going to see a show from Donald Trump because that's who he is.
Did
He's
I
not
Trump
going to
honestly
not
follow
feel
the
already
like
rules.
got
that
a plan?
because of Trump's diagnosis, I feel like the future debate, because Trump is acting like he feels so great and whatever, which I guess we'll get into all that in a minute. But I think that going forward, because of his diagnosis and because the next debate should be like next week, they maybe should do a virtual option, and I
That's
think
what they
it
was
might be
talking
better
about.
that way only because they it might be easier for them to mute his mic if he's talking out of turn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Shit, even in the place, they could mute his mic. Like that shit was ridiculous. Uh,
yeah, Tom, you got anything to say about the debate?
Um, it was very disheartening on both sides. Um, like what you were talking about Joe Biden's plan, I still don't know what his plan is. Like tax the rich. That's the only thing I hear him talking about. Um, Still nobody really cares about the black issues. Um, I feel like both of them is racist. One is just a covert racist.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I got nothing out of this one. You know,
mm. Yeah,
um, Mike Pence, I didn't hear him speak in 4 years, so what he has to say really doesn't matter to me. Um,
basically.
Being vice president for Trump doesn't mean anything. I do
I
think
think
being
he's just
vice
along for the ride. He got picked. He didn't ask to be picked. He got picked. He didn't turn it down. So he's just along for the ride. He does the very bare minimum, and that's just it
And
for
well,
him.
who's
it
if they
goes a long
say
way on your resume too, though. You know what I mean?
it does, and
Mm-hmm.
when it all
Mm-hmm.
comes down to it, somebody picking you as vice president, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So who's really going
Right.
to say no, especially if you've made your
Right.
life about politics,
Well,
Right. Right.
even
So
if it
that's
is
what
a
I.
Donald Trump.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
like I seen a
Yeah.
commercial before we went on with Kamala Harris and Mike Pence. It made it look like a football game. Like they had them going hit to hit. Like I'm like, no wonder um the our country's so divided. This is like it shouldn't be like that.
I
Now,
hope Kamala eat him up. I hope she do.
I
you
don't
went,
even necessarily think he's going to give too much of a. I don't. He's not. He don't strike me as confrontational or,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying. Like he's going to like. I don't know. I can't wait to see. I don't know. I
where
just don't.
I
did
know
you
that their debate
to
is
the
definite. I know their debate is definitely going to be way more civilized than the actual presidential debate.
Mm-hmm.
I
So,
just feel like our agenda and their agenda still isn't matching up with
hmm
either party.
hmm but again, that goes back to what we were saying. Now that we're in this position, there's not a whole lot we could do about it, but we could get our agenda together and make our demands for 2024. So this
Like
one, I'm just
2020,
like,
like the Republicans
2024.
wasn't happy with Obamacare, but within the 4 years, y'all didn't come up with anything that's better than that. And y'all still, with now that we got a new election, y'all still making that the primary focus. Like that shouldn't even be the primary focus. Let Obamacare be Obamacare at this point.
but I
And
mean, even if it is the primary focus, what do you have to replace it?
nothing.
I'm
It's
interested in
another
that.
form of Obamacare.
Otherwise, shut up. If you don't have nothing to replace it, shut up. Because I don't want to hear about it.
It shouldn't
That's
even be on your agenda, but healthcare
exactly.
is always on the agenda, but it shouldn't even be on your agenda. But
Mm,
I, Donald Trump's whole purpose is to take Obama's name off of anything
Mm-hmm.
that he
Ruin the
mhm,
had in
country.
place. Like his I feel like his sole purpose is to undo, untie, erase anything that Obama set in place. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's his ultimate goal before he is out the White House come January, because I'm claiming it.
mhm. So, what do y'all think about the it seems like this was kind of like a hot point of the debate where people were asking the moderator asked Trump, and I'm not quoting him, but basically he was trying to have him denounce racism, white supremacy and all that, and then he ended up saying proud boys stand back and stand by. I think that's what he said.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do y'all think about that? Because
At
I
the
know
end of
there's
the
an
Well,
day,
uproar
like,
about it, but
it's pushing.
immediately, let me just tell you, Matt. Immediately, I was offended. I was just like, "Oh my god! If y'all could have been a fly on the wall in here, I just like lost it." Because I knew I was looking at him saying that. I knew that it what it meant. I did not know that there was an actual group called that. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
hmm
I know that the KKK and the white racist people, they are proud. That's how they carry themselves. So I knew that he was speaking to that group of people. I did not actually know that there was a actual group called the Proud Boys.
Mm-hmm.
So um either way I knew exactly what the fuck he was saying.
You knew his
And
dog whistling.
mhm,
hmm
mhm, um that's his base. So like they were saying, like he's never gonna go against his base. Like that's his base.
So, do
So
you feel
hmm
do you feel the same way about when they asked Joe Biden about does he support law and order? Like he act like he couldn't say yes just because he needs the BLM to support him. But at the end of the day, the BLM supports law and order as long as it's cl- like
Well, he
clear and
clearly
clean.
stated that he does not support defunding the police, which, I mean, I'm a supporter of defunding the police, but
But at the end of the day, why are you so hesitant to say that you agree with law and order or that you support law and order? That's
Uh,
weird.
I mean,
Because you want to keep everybody that's disgruntled with the police on your side. And that's weird. Like, if you don't really believe, I know that you believe in law and order because you signed that act, that
what?
the Crime Bill Act in '94 or whatever.
The 94 crime bill. Okay, so here's here's my issue with everybody keep bringing up the 94 crime bill. Like, I think hindsight is always going to be 2020. I do not think that the Hillary Clinton or um, Joe Biden, everybody who cause they keep bringing up different people's names who were in support of the 94 crime bill. In 94, I think that at the time that that was put in place, people really didn't understand the ramifications that it would have on Black people and how it would the impact it would have on us as far as mass incarceration is concerned. Because there were a lot of Black congressmen too that were in support of that bill,
So who
and
tried
I
to
think that they
reform it?
just
Who tried
didn't
to?
know at that time. So now here we are in 2020, and we see the impact that that had on our communities, and now we're trying to hold them accountable after the fact, when at that
Mhm.
time I don't believe that people were so against it because you're not hearing anything about it until now.
But see,
Right.
my thing is,
And
but my thing is, it ain't like these people after '94. They was outside of the Senate, outside of the Congress. You're still a part of that government, and you're watching this go on. You didn't try to speak up about it being wrong or anything until it was election time.
But at the
You didn't
same
try.
time, but at the same time, when it comes to stuff like that, people, especially people who live privileged lifestyles, they're far removed from the impacts of that bill. So unless we take them to task about it, that's something that they're probably not even thinking about.
People
So
been talking about that. You about as far as the crack versus other substances, as far as how much time people was getting. People, that been an issue. That been part like brought up in front of Congress. That's
I
not
mean,
something.
it may have been brought up before, but I think that it wasn't something that was people were pounding against the pavement about until you saw Hillary Clinton running for president. That's when you started hearing more about it and people talking about the 94 crime bill. And now again, with Joe Biden being in support of it, you're hearing about it again. But I
And
mean,
let's think about at 90 in 94, shit was out of control. Crack was dominant. It was crime was up. And I
But
guess
so
they
is right now with the pills. What's the
I
difference?
mean, it still is. Like it still is with the heroin and everything. Like you know what I'm saying. But at that time, it was so new. Like you know what I'm saying. It was still on the newer side, and they were just trying to. They I ain't gonna say what they was trying to do. Maybe they assumed that whatever they did and put in place, it was going to stop that or curb that. We see that that's not true. All it did was lock up our Black men and 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 break up families. Um, so I mean, maybe he could do something in the future. I don't know. I'm not even really focused on Joe Biden. Again, I'm focused on the 2024
mm-hmm,
election.
mm-hmm.
But we have to get Trump out. Period.
But yeah, right, because ultimately focusing on the 94 crime bill ain't going, it's different than focusing on what Trump is doing right now in
But my
2020.
thing is, okay, so
Like,
all right, so Biden becomes president, and 2024 hits. The Democrat Party, you're going to have to vote for Biden.
okay.
So who is a Republican that you guys are thinking about voting for?
Wait a minute. And in
I don't
2024,
understand what you're talking about.
yeah, me neither.
Because if Biden becomes president, he's going to want to run for a second term. So
No,
the
I
Democrat,
don't
Not
know.
necessarily.
Biden, once he gets, if Biden wins and gets nominated, gets inaugurated, he's going to be 78 years old. I do not think he's going to go for a second term. I really don't.
Hey,
yeah.
I don't either. I don't either. And even if he do go, like he's not. He's not. He's not.
All right, that's a good point. I didn't think he was on that. Jeez.
Yeah, he's not.
Listen, I
He's
told y'all
not.
that done pumped him full of stem
So
cells and
what?
alkaline water just to stand up there.
So what? If
That
he did do 2 terms, by the time his second term is up, he would be like what? Like 82, 83?
it's time to sit down. Well, I mean,
I don't.
I mean, and I'm not trying to put a time frame on that man. If he feels good and he's able to do whatever he needs to do, then so be it. But this, he is going to be up there in age.
I
Shit,
mean, I
Trump is
am.
older
I am.
too. Like
He is old, but I feel like we definitely need somebody younger in there.
he
I feel
do,
Um,
like
he do.
they need to change the criteria of what it is to be a president.
yeah, but we're kind of like
But
getting off because I kind of wanted to say something about Trump and the whole him avoiding.
The right white supremacy question, or
Right, because okay, so let
sorry.
me preface what I'm about to say with, do I think Trump is a white supremacist? Yes. Do I think he's a racist? Yes, I do. Um as far as the whole Proud Boys comment about stand back and stand by, I honestly don't think he meant to say that. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I don't think he meant to say that. Um I rewatched the clip after that night. I actually rewatched it a couple of times. And when the question was asked, I think he got flustered, like looking at the things he was saying. I think he was trying to figure out what to say that would not upset his base. But at the same time, he didn't know what to say. So it got to a point in time, a point during the exchange where he said, okay, what do you want me to say? I'll say it. Now, to somebody who's not a white supremacist, sure, it's easy. You'll denounce racism or white supremacy. It's not that hard. And it should have never lingered on that long. But I think because he was flustered and did not want to upset his base, he's saying, what do you want me to say? I'll say it. Like, they were like denounce groups, and he was like, what? Who do you want me? Who are you talking about? So you can hear somebody in the background say Proud Boys. Then you can hear Joe Biden. Joe Biden says Proud Boys. So then after that, you hear somebody in the background, you hear Joe Biden, then he says Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. I feel like it was a gaffe just based on how the question was asked and like the circumstances around
And the
it.
reason it, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I think he meant to say stand down, but he said stand back and stand by. Listen, as I stated, I still feel like he's a white supremacist. He did not want to upset his base, and that's why it took him so long to answer it. I just don't think that he meant to say that.
but you know what? The only problem with that is being that they hate Antifa so much that he knows, and the Proud Boys hate Antifa. So I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if it's something that he already knew about. Um, just because they hate Antifa.
Because
Trump and
right after he said that, he did say something needs to be done about Antifa and
yeah,
something else.
like
But
because
the
the
thing
Proud Boys
is,
are basically
but
the opposite of what Antifa is trying to do. The Proud
but
Boys trying to stop.
Biden was right. Biden told him Antifa is not a group. Antifa is an ideology. It's not necessarily a group. All
Mm-hmm,
it means is anti-fascist. That's all it
mm-hmm,
means.
mm-hmm.
So
And listen, do y'all remember me saying 5 minutes ago that when you said that somebody screamed out Proud Boys and then Jay repeated it? That's because Proud Boys is a label for them all. Like I said, I feel like that label's for all of them. So that's
mm-mm,
why it was, yes,
it's not a
I know
label for
you're,
them all. There's a specific
it's,
group called Proud Boys.
I think it's both. I think both of y'all are right. I think
Okay.
because
it is, but
And
they
I
all fall under that. All the races, all the KKK, they're mourning. That's a moniker for them. The Proud Boys, they're proud. That's what they stand for. But there's an actual group called the
yeah, there's
Proud
an
Boys. So
actual
mhm.
they took that and
yeah.
ran with that shit. But that is a label for them all as a
Yeah.
whole.
And
Proud
actually,
Boys.
one thing
Definitely.
that I heard was that it was actually like the owner of Vice that started the Proud Boys. But then once it started picking up steam and everything, he kind of like
He said this isn't
disassociated
what it was
himself.
for.
Huh?
He was like, "This ain't what it was for."
He disassociated himself from it once he found out, like, or once it started picking up steam and getting the traction that it got, he
No,
disassociated
because
himself from it.
it brought out that was it's a label that's gonna bring out the Proud Boys, the racists, the K like it's that's a label. So that's why I feel like it was yelled out. Joe repeated it and he said it, but ultimately that shit still meant what it meant, even though there's a group called that. Like I
Hmm.
don't.
But see, the only reason
Yeah,
why I
but
don't think
prior
so,
to that, don't you think he? So you don't think that because he said to the moderator, like, okay, who, like, what do you want me to
but that's
say?
what I'm saying. The Proud Boys, they
And then they're
assault,
they're like
they
Proud Boys. And you hear Joe say Proud Boys, and
but
he's like,
they
all right, Proud
assault,
Boys, stand back
they've
and
been
stand back.
assaulting the Antifa people, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. A lot of those people that was Proud Boys, if you look up, because I was watching like a documentary on them like the other
Mm-hmm.
day. It's like they assaulted so many of these Antifa people, and that's because the Antifa people be trying to take over the country.
Now,
So
don't get me wrong. The only point I'm trying to make is
they
that
trying to get
I
their
felt like
country
he
back.
did not mean to say that specific verbiage. I'm not saying that he's not a white supremacist because I'll reiterate, I think he is. I think he's a racist. I think all that. I just don't think that he meant to say that verbiage. Um, but I'm not taking
Well, he
up for
could
him
have picked any
anyway
verbiage
because.
to say, like, if he wanted to say that or whatever, it didn't matter. He could have said something else specifically. But Proud
Mhm,
Boys that was a call for as a whole.
mhm.
I think
So
he
he didn't have to say the KKK. He didn't have to say the hillbillies on Rue Street on Route 28. If that's a group, he didn't have to name specifically each group that are white supremacists. He could have said white supremacists or Proud Boys as a whole.
Now I'm just
He,
trying. For me, I'm just trying to because you already know. Like we agree, it's Operation Get Trump Out. I'm just looking at this and trying to be a little fair because I know
nah, no. I'm
everybody
I'm
took it and ran
actually
with it. Everybody did, and I'm just looking.
but
I started watching it again. I was like, wait a minute. I don't really
But I'm
feel like he meant to
actually
say that though.
surprised that you like. I don't want to be fair. I don't want empathy. I don't have empathy. I don't want to be fair because he hasn't shown none of that in all the years that he's been here. So I don't
Hmm.
feel like he deserves a fair chance or empathy for him having COVID. I don't have none of those feelings. I'm sorry. I just don't.
see my biggest
I
thing
just
is
don't.
how his responses to whenever somebody passes away that's not a white person. Like he doesn't have no type of comment for it,
Hmm.
and that's what get me more than
Because he's a white
Proud
supremacist. He's had nothing to say about Breonna Taylor. He's had
Boys.
nothing to say about George Floyd. He has had nothing to say. So I mean,
And do y'all remember when John Kane was dying, and then after he died, how he made fun of that man? And we're supposed to have empathy because he got COVID, supposedly.
well,
Nobody's
hold
supposed
on.
to say
So,
anything bad or whatever. Like, no.
well, hold on.
Or
So,
give him a fair chance because he said Proud Boys, and that might not have been the words or the verbiage. He meant that shit. Whatever they said, he said that shit. Like, I'm not trying to hear none of that shit at all.
I'm with you on that one because at this point, there's too many fuck ups for you to just
and
keep
like,
that bitch level.
Yeah,
listen, like I said, my opinion might be the unpopular opinion.
it is.
I'm looking at, me watching it again and seeing how everything went down, you know. But
My
Like
at the
thing,
I didn't watch the whole debate over again, but I did watch certain parts or
same.
whatever. That was one of them, and I did hear, the echoing because Proud Boys was a stamp, a label for them as a whole. So it didn't matter if you was they all coming together. Just they're all coming together. Proud Boys, they gonna be popping up out the fucking hay. Each group.
Right. So I definitely understand what I'm talking about as far as the way the debate went. For him to say, "All right, well, who are y'all talking about?" and then to hear somebody say Proud Boys, and then Joe, but it's it sounds like he just like, all right, then Proud Boys, like whatever, you know what I mean? Because if he wanted to say Proud Boys, he could have said that from the gate, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
no?
Said
I
what the
mean,
KKK? He could have
I
said
think
white supremacist,
I think
but
he
he
had that.
didn't.
I think he might have already had that phrase in the tuck. I just feel like he wasn't going. He was almost forced to say
I
it
feel
because
like
it
he
kept
was
happening.
flustered, and he
Mm.
didn't, and he didn't want to upset his base, definitely, because that's why it took him so long to even answer it when it should have just been simple. That should have been simple, quick answer. We move right along to the next thing. So he definitely did not want to upset his base. He know his base is white supremacists, racists, who definitely are going to be standing tall at the voting lines, trying to vote for him all day, every day. He knows that. That's why it took him so long to answer. Know
Yeah.
that. But um, I don't know.
He had me. He did have me weak when he told Joe that nobody was for his.
No, you
He
know
was
what? I'm
so
not.
dis-
He was disrespectful, but I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I died when he said that Joe Biden has been wearing the biggest mask he's ever seen.
The
Dupree
big,
lost it. Dupree lost it. I mean, there was several moments where it
that
was
might
just
have been
like, is
the
this a
funniest.
debate or a comedy show?
It definitely was a
Dupree
comedy show.
Dupree always watches him and cracks up because he says, like, you know what I mean? And
Outlandish.
it's just, it's
It's
really
like kids
ridiculous.
say the darndest things.
Yes,
Like
yes.
even when he was like, I think I might be immune. What he say to the
Well,
COVID?
hold on. Okay, so we're gonna get into that. So, how many days after the debate did he test positive for COVID-19?
Well, they still don't know because the
Um,
doctor lied. I want to say they said it was supposed to be Saturday. That Saturday.
because he tested positive, and then the next day he was at the hospital. So I
Right.
want to say, I thought it was like, I thought it was like
Okay.
Thursday, Friday ish.
So he makes fun of Joe Biden wearing these humongous masks or the biggest
The
mask he's
biggest
ever
mess he's
seen.
ever seen.
Then next thing you know, he's diagnosed with COVID-19. So all right, is that karma, or do we really believe that he has COVID-19?
I think they do. Cause I think he do. I think all of them do. Not because there's a lot of people in the White House that got it after
It is
Trump.
up to like 14 people.
But
It's
they
up to
all
like
was
14
careless.
people.
They all was careless. You can
Yes,
see it in all the and then any type of event that they would have. It was just carelessness. Like none of them
absolutely.
believed in it, and none of them took it serious. And even with who was it? The Hermit Kane who passed away from it. They was at the one of his events acting careless. You know what I mean? So it's real.
So
Now
I think that maybe his others, I just, like I said, I don't have empathy or I don't have any feelings. So I'm looking at him like he really didn't have COVID. And if he
you,
did, regardless if he did or not, he treated it as a mockery for the people, the thousands of people who died. People couldn't even go say goodbye to their loved ones. And he is flaunting it. Oh, he got a rapid test. The next day he's being admitted. They got him showboating,
but
signing
you know
fake
what it
shit.
is, Kenya?
Like
You know what it
what?
is? What it was, and I don't. I'm not gonna work for anybody who wish him the best, but I think he took some of that hot shit, some of that shit that's on the market that the FDA ain't approved yet. So the side effects could be whatever. So I think he took some shit that they still testing and it worked, but
Well, you know
don't
that
nobody.
there was a doctor on a View this morning that was talking about how the way he was talking and the way he was acting, that's a direct side effect of some of the um, steroids that they issue. Uh, that they give to people who may be suffering from COVID-19 in the hospital. He was that rush of I feel great, but that'll wear
Yeah,
off.
because remember when I took my steroid, I was like, boy, can't nobody tell me nothing. I was feeling good after that.
Hmm.
Yes, yes, yes. We'll
So,
see. I mean,
but
if
what you know
if
what's funny though? Don't nobody talk about his wife. Like what's going on with his wife?
what happened to her?
Is
No,
she
no.
cool? Is she cool or is she in the bed with the high fever like everybody else?
Where's Chris Christie? I don't like his ass, and he got it too. After the debate, he was trying to
That's
That's
talk
his
shit
debate
about
coach.
that. Huh?
Ain't that Trump's debate coach?
yeah, that
Who,
was
Chris
funny because they
Christie?
all got on
Yes,
it. They got on it.
Why? I did not know that. Why did I? How did I miss that?
You ain't
because
seen that after the debate when they was talking to him about it. They got on him like, "Yo, was that y'all's game plan?" Really?
Oh, I
And
probably
he
was
was
still
like, "No."
screaming my head off. I probably was still like I was so irate after that
Yeah, because they
debate.
asked him that. They was like, "Was that the game plan?" He was like, "No, this is definitely not." He's like, "It
Oh
doesn't."
well,
He's like,
he's
"Trump doesn't listen."
positive. His top advisor, she's paused. It's like up to like 14 people now. So they're saying, and he was able to come home, flew in a helicopter, stood outside for a photo op, and
He's
took
like,
his mask off, did a couple fist pumps. He's so disrespectful. Like
and the fact
I
that you put
just
the whole Secret Service that was with you in jeopardy just to ride around and wave to people, like at this point, you're highly contagious. So,
no, my big thing is though, you got the doctor lying for you because the
and now
doctor
and the doctor, yes, I'm good.
that's
I'm
super
good.
weird. Like the doctor
Yeah,
had
it
to come
is.
back and say that I was lying. Like that's so weird. Like I know a doctor.
And I feel like he needs to be
That's
fired because they take an ethical oath or whatever. Like he
Hippocratic
should
oath.
be fired.
Yeah,
Because now I don't trust no doctors. Like, okay,
yeah, because you know what? That's another thing that the doctor that was on the View today said. He was like, our client is our patient. So yes, we are going to disclose information in the interest of the patient, but at the same time, we would not do that, and we would not intentionally deceive the American people in order
yeah. Just
to
don't answer it. Say
have
no
the back of our
comment.
client. We just wouldn't do that.
Yeah, no comment. Like I can't speak on something like that. No
and he
comment.
did not do that. He needs to be fired.
Talking about he didn't want the American people to panic. That sounds like something Trump would say.
Right.
It is. He did say that about COVID in
Yeah.
that phone conversation. He didn't want the American people to worry because he already knew about COVID, so he didn't say anything. All
So
right, get the
three
fuck out
months
of here.
later,
All of
turn
that shit is
around now the
ridiculous.
doctor saying the same
So,
thing.
but at the same time, like you said, Kenya, it's a smack in the face because for you to get up there in front of the American people and act like it's not that bad, meanwhile, we've already seen that we had 210,000 deaths at
And
least
counting.
and
And,
counting by
and
now.
counting.
It's a slap in the face to the families of those people who are missing their loved ones, who wasn't able to give them a proper goodbye, because when you're in the hospital, you can't even be there with them. Like it's
Talking
just
about don't let COVID rule you, take over your life. Like get him out of there.
now. Don't get me wrong. Didn't I just say that like a couple of weeks ago, where I was like I wasn't going to allow it to hold me hostage, and I was going outside. At the same time, when I do go outside, I wear a mask when I
But
go
you're
to
safe
stores and
though.
stuff
That's
like
what I was
that.
about to say. There is a difference.
Hmm.
There is a difference. Like you know what I'm saying? No, I be moving around though, too. But I also take the precautions because I do know whatever the fuck is going around is deadly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And the thing is, he when he talk, he doesn't put a disclaimer before he talks. So it's like he don't say be cautious, but
Nah.
don't let it take over your life. But at the end of the day, just say don't let it take over your life. So you a lot of people's going to see that and just be like, you
And
know,
also, one other thing I wanted to say is that even with, I think it's that book that was kind of like a biography or autobiography that was co-written by somebody else, The Art of the Deal. The author even said that, in writing the book, he was Trump said never take the blame for anything. So I think that kind of like coincides with Kenya, something that you told me before, where they asked him about his Twitter rants, late night Twitter rants, and how sometimes does he look back and think what he said was wrong. And he said, yeah, I do, but you can't take it back now because it's already out
Right.
there. Like,
It's
so
already out there.
that goes with his personal ethics, or
Who he
no matter
is.
what, who he is.
Who
Like,
he
I'm not,
is.
all right, it's out there. I said what I said.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether I know it's wrong or not, I'll say anything. And in saying anything, even after the fact, I think it's wrong, but I'm not taking it back, even if I
Mm-mm,
think what I said
mm-mm.
was wrong.
Right, right. Crazy, crazy. So
So,
anyhow, I hope that people is getting out the vote. It is Operation Get Trump the fuck out, and we are focusing on the 2024 election to get somebody in there that's going to be for us. Because at this point, and in time, once this election is over, people is going to be coming up. So we got to focus and really look at what's out there and get on the ball with that.
mhm,
Go vote though.
I
If
don't
you
want a
mhm.
haven't
politician.
already, go vote.
I don't want a politician. At least if it's a politician, it might have to be from the independent party. I
You
don't
know,
want a Democrat or Republican.
I see a lot of people saying, they don't care about politics, and the president this, and it don't matter who's in, like all of these things, like, you know what I mean? Ultimately, I just feel like if that's the case, then you shouldn't be in this country because you can move, because that's just this is how we live. So
Mhm.
if this is how we're forced to live and be, and we're here, then we have to be responsible for the people who we put there. We have to be more responsible for that, because it's either going to be that way or a fucked up way. And I see a lot of people saying it won't affect me one way or other. It does affect you. It does affect you. Like,
Because
you
it's
know what I'm
policies
saying?
at the end of the day, so it's going to affect you.
It's
So,
going to affect you one way or another. It's going to affect you.
And,
but
and
not,
right, and to your point, I think that a lot of people who sat out of the 2016 election, they may not have anticipated Donald Trump having three Supreme Court justice picks. They might not have anticipated him having so many federal judges that he appointed, but that's what happens when you decide to not vote. Like, they may feel like because it's the presidency, my life will not be directly impacted, but it can be.
but not
Also,
even
It
you.
there's
it
a lot of
will
local
be.
elections.
But not
Right.
even you. Like, say if the right to choose get overturned in the Supreme Court or things like that, somebody that down your bloodline could be affected by it. So even though you might be going on with your everyday life, when policies and things get put into place, like you said, those three Supreme Courts that replacements, they all got the same ideology of thinking. So if they all think that the women shouldn't have a right to choose, then I feel sorry for the women out there that needs
Yeah.
to have the right to choose. Honestly,
And also, I think that in 2016, one thing that stuck out to me during the debates when he was debating Hillary Clinton was that Donald Trump clearly stated that he was for stop and frisk. That's a legal way of basically it's a legal way of discriminating against us, and it adversely affects black people, specifically black men.
It does.
But I don't understand how people heard him say that and then still decided that
It was, they do
it don't
not
matter, I
care.
ain't voting.
And you made a good point that I feel like might have it fell fell through the cracks. Um, Joe Biden and Donald Trump is not the only people on the ticket. So that's
Exactly.
another reason why it's so important to get out there and vote. They are not the only people on the ticket. If you don't want to vote for neither one of them, get on the ticket and vote for who the fuck you want to vote for in the other runnings, because there's other people that's running and that's on the
Hmm.
ticket. Like, do that much. So that's a huge
Like our,
that's
even
huge.
for instance, our attorney general, our Pennsylvania attorney general, I feel like he's done a great job. He's done a great job, especially with his responses to things like moratoriums on rent and um, the utilities and stuff like that during COVID-19. He's on the ballot this year.
Mm-hmm.
I will
Mm-hmm.
vote for him. I mean, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes. Yes. So some people just go in with the idea if you pull Democrat, you Democrat all the way down, or people don't be knowing the process of voting. Um, go vote. Go vote.
mm-hmm.
Go vote. So all right, my pressure is already up.